I'm rebuilding Gonzaga in NCAA basketball because they've come so close to winning it all, and I want to see it happen so bad. Mark Few took over a school of just 4,000 people like 25 years ago, and he's turned them into a national powerhouse, but the full rebuild isn't complete yet because they've lost the national championship twice. That's why I've taken them over in NCAA basketball, and they only lost one player this season, so you might think that this won't be too difficult, but I am putting the game on the hardest difficulty, and after this year, we're gonna lose 7 seniors. It's not like the roster that we have is insane either, so I've redshirt players like this 6'5" sophomore point guard, and I'm doing this rebuild on the updated mod for the game. Starting out with an A- team isn't too bad, but we'll need to build it up during recruiting, and I'll be simming all of the regular season games throughout this rebuild, but I do get to hop into the postseason ones, and those are always super fun because we only play on 5-minute quarters. Anything can happen when you do that, and it's about time that we start to build out our recruiting board because, like I said, we have 7 scholarships available, but only 158 points to spend, which is going to make this very difficult. After putting together our list of targets, we only have 59 points left to spend throughout this entire season, and that's going to be a problem because we have to recruit in Washington, which is so far away from most of the other US states. That's why it costs so many points to get people to visit. Like, this one player would be 40, and I've decided that anybody we're in a lead on, I'm just going to automatically offer them a scholarship and hope for the best. The only thing I know about these players is their high school stats, but we're surprisingly number 1 for a lot of them, and we could really use a 7-foot center. I also really want this power forward that's averaging 32 points per game, and since he's from California, this visit's not going to cost us much, so we've offered out some scholarships. I'm going to sim a couple of weeks, and we've also dropped a game to Toledo. I told you all that this roster wasn't as good as you might think it would be, but I think we're still going to get a couple of quality wins like we beat Houston. And of the 6 scholarships that we sent out, we're about to see how many of these players decided they wanted to play for Gonzaga, but a lot of them are undecided and still have us at number 1. So I'm just glad to see that the 3 highest rated prospects on our board have decided to come to Gonzaga. We need to get a center though, and it's either going to be Tim Randall or this guy from Kentucky, Rick O'Brien, but he's not as tall and we don't know how he's doing in high school. I should probably scout for that, but I'm going to offer him a scholarship at the same time. And I really want this 6'10" power forward as well, but after we send this package, we're going to have almost no points remaining in recruiting. I can't believe a month into the season I've spent all the points we have already, but this non-conference schedule is incredibly tough, and against UCLA, we're going to lose another. Right now, we're sitting at 5-5, and this is one of the worst teams the Bulldogs have had in a while, but it's because every other school is just as good as us, and we might have to win our conference tournament just to get a bid into the NCAA tournament. It looks like against Ohio State, we are going to pull away in the final seconds, and that was enough to land both of the centers that we wanted, but these rankings are changing so quickly, and now this power forward's the best one on our board. Cole Waller has us at number 1 right now, but he won't accept our scholarship, and we only have 2 points remaining, so I don't think we're going to land him, and we have to make sure that we don't drop either of these matchups, but we did to the Huskies. These recruiting rankings are changing way too much, but Cole Waller didn't commit, and with no recruiting points left, there's nothing else that I can do. After beating North Texas, we are ready to start conference play though, and the West Coast Conference continues to get better and better every year with teams like St. Mary's and San Francisco. Right now, we're not even supposed to get the automatic bid out of it, and we're a bubble team, so we better pull it together or we're going to miss the entire tournament. Before the year started, we had the best roster in our conference, but now it seems like all the teams around us have improved, and I'm starting to wonder if this rebuild's going to be a lot harder than I thought it would. This Gonzaga team's supposed to be pretty good next year, but clearly something's going wrong, and I think it's because Ryan Nembhard is struggling. Our point guard and best player should be putting up way better numbers than what he's doing so far, and I couldn't tell you why Mark Few is bald, but we have got to switch up our team style. Eventually, we got to find one that works because we should not be losing conference games like this, and Gonzaga fans would be so disappointed with how this rebuild's starting out for us. The most important games, of course, though, are against St. Mary's, and if I ever hop into a regular season game in this rebuild, it would probably be against them because they always give the Bulldogs a ton of issues, and they're going to beat us in overtime. Somehow, with 7 seniors on our roster, I'm about to miss the tournament with Gonzaga, but we beat St. Mary's in our second matchup, so that's big, and against LMU, we're going to go out and get another one. With how the WCC conference tournament is structured, it would be crucial for us to finish as one of the top 2 seeds, and since we have 2 scholarships left with no points, I think what I'm going to do is just find the players that were number 1 on their board still and offer them a scholarship to see if they come to Gonzaga. It can't hurt us any as I found a point guard and then shooting guard Devin McCarty, and at least that would be some good news since we've dropped another game and another one. I just can't believe how much we're losing with Gonzaga. That makes it 5 straight losses for the Bulldogs now, and I couldn't tell you why those 2 guards decided they wanted to come here with us playing this badly. We have a full recruiting class, but this is like the worst Gonzaga's done in 20 years, and even though we have the best team on paper, we're sitting at the bottom of the WCC, and I don't see things going any better for us, but we beat San Francisco twice. They were ranked and finished as by far the best team in our conference, so going into this conference tournament, I feel like we could still make a run, but maybe not because Pepperdine's better than us on paper. I know I'm using an updated roster in this rebuild, but something must not be right because Gonzaga's miles better than these teams, and with that win, we're on to the quarterfinals. It's very obvious that you want to be one of the first 2 seeds in this conference, and it took took all season, but we're finally dominating games like we should be. Now we have to beat San Francisco for the 3rd time, but I'm confident we can make that happen. We've already done it twice during the season, and it ended up being pretty close, but we're going on to the conference championship. We should have been here without having to do all that work, but it's completely fine. We can still make the tournament, and of course, this matchup's versus St. Mary's. It's always going to be us battling it out for the conference championship, and Ben Gregg has been our best player, but that's mainly because some of our other seniors have disappointed, and this is such an odd court to be playing a conference championship on. The mods updated the game for it to be like real life, so I'm assuming this is how it is, and with the freshman small forward, we're going to pull up, and that bounces in. He's the one starter out there that we're not going to lose at the end of the season. There's so much experience on this team, but we're not getting the rebound, and one thing I struggle with on this difficulty is shooting free throws. I've also seen a lot of comments wondering if this is live comm, and most of this is, but every so often I'll mess up whatever I'm saying, and that was a great rejection. Now we're in transition, but they got back in time to play good defense, and this 3 is off the marks. With the freshman small forward, I'm trying my hardest to get him going, and Jalen Harrelson has been a beast so far, but St. Mary's is doing a good job of scoring, and that is in. I'm almost certain he's not left-handed in real life, but that's just gonna have to work for the rest of this rebuild. And approaching halftime, we have a tie game, but they're gonna break that. I really think Gonzaga deserves to get a tournament bid, but it's gonna be hard to do so. And even if we do make it there, I'm not sure how good this team's gonna be because we keep turning it over. To end the half, they're not gonna hold for the final shot, so we are gonna have a chance at it. And Jalen Harrelson has it in his hands, but they're gonna double team him. We probably need to get a shot up soon. We're not gonna beat the buzzer, and that was a bad look. I panicked right there, so we're trailing by 2, but we're also shooting 10% worse than them, and it is still possible for us to make the tournament, but that was a bad look. We have got to start to figure things out on both sides of things, and I'm just gonna get it to the corner where we are gonna miss. I do not like how things are starting to look, and the Gales have been on a run that we have got to break at some point. This has not been the start to the half that we needed as that rolls in, and I'm starting to panic a little bit. They're playing good defense here, and that's another stop. The fact that we're about to miss the tournament is gonna make me so upset because Mark Few's gotten Gonzaga like 9 straight Sweet 16s, and my goal for this rebuild was to get the Bulldogs a championship, not make them worse. They're somehow getting it back, and that would lead to this geology major shooting free throws. We would beat the press though, and that leaves Ryan Nembhard open for 3 that he can't hit, and if we're gonna win anything on the All-American difficulty, I'm gonna need to get some better shooters on this roster because this is not it. I know I'm not great at this game, but it is getting ugly, and our first season at Gonzaga is gonna end with us missing the tournament. That's one good 3-pointer, but we're still down by 9, and the plan is to do the same thing over and over, but it isn't gonna work. Throughout this season, we shot 38% from behind the 3-point line, but in this game, we're sitting at 21%, and Hickman just got blocked. It wasn't a great look, and he is open here, but he faded away for whatever reason, and in the end, St. Mary's is gonna take us down. It's like Gonzaga's starting to fall off, and I've got to save them because we've run this conference for 20 years. Going 17-17 is far from impressive, and I think it all comes back to Ryan Nembhard just having one of the worst seasons I've ever seen out of a point guard on this game. We made the NIT, but I don't even care. I just want to get on to next season, and I'm not even surprised we lost in the second round. As for the national champion, it was Pitt over Nebraska by 11 points, and it's time for me to sign all these players I recruited. Apparently 5 of them are 5-stars, and Rick O'Brien's the number 3 player in the country. He averaged over 30 points a game in high school in Kentucky, and the 7-footer Tim Randall that started as one of the top recruits finished down at number 69. We've also gotten an invite to the Pac-12, but I don't know if I want to accept it, so I politely declined because it's no longer realistic. But if that was 2 years ago, I would have accepted it, and look at all of these seniors we're losing. I would be concerned, but all of these freshman recruits that we just brought in are pretty much all the same overalls, and after taking a look at our roster going into next season, I'm very excited to see how the future of Gonzaga basketball unfolds. I don't even want to redshirt any of these players, but it's probably best if we do at least a couple, and I can't believe we're in the preseason NIT tournament. Gonzaga's like always in the Maui, but this is what our out-of-conference schedule looks like, and our season preview says we should win the conference, that we have a much better team, but that ended up being a lie last year, and if there's anything that I want this team focusing on, it's gotta be shooting. It looks like we're only gonna have 1 scholarship available, but that's completely fine because we have a ton of young guys, and Gonzaga's known for developing talent, keeping them around for multiple years, so we're just gonna find the 1 small forward that we have to get, and none of these guys that are interested in coming here are that good. It turns out after having a bad season, our team prestige dropped by 2, and I can't believe that, but we're gonna upgrade our practice gym as much as we can. That's gonna help out our shooting as well, and I think it's ridiculous that the highest rated player that wants to come here now is ranked 143rd in the country. We might as well actually scout these guys to see who's the best, even if we only have 111 points to spend, and we could be in for another long season. I'd love if we could start it out with a win versus San Diego State, but we have a lot of freshmen out there, and clearly they're struggling, so I am not excited unless we're able to develop players well. We also drop a game to Grand Canyon University, and surely we won't lose to this no-name school as well. I've ruined Gonzaga. We just lost to Weber State, and neither of these small forwards are good. They're both C+ overalls. Honestly, honestly, we're just going to take Bill Rankin and call it a decent recruiting class. But it's painful to see how bad we're doing, and we're going to switch up our coaching style again. Eventually, something's going to stick. We're going to start getting the right result, and maybe that's what makes the difference, because we just beat Virginia, and then we picked up another win. We also signed the one player that we were able to, but losing to FAU does not help us out much. And somehow this season's looking worse than our last one. We have 2 more games before we start conference play, and right now we're 5-6. We can't drop one to North Dakota State. So I'm glad to see that our defense actually showed up today, and it's like every team on this roster is better than us. I don't know if it's how they made the updated rosters or what, but Gonzaga should always be a higher overall than Belmont is. And going into conference play, if we don't win it this year, we're probably not making the NCAA tournament again. San Francisco might be on the bubble, but we're sure not. And our RPI ranking sitting at 87. We could start conference play with a huge win though, and beating St. Mary's would definitely set the tone for how the rest of the year plays out. It looks like at the end we are going to pull away, and I'm taking a quick look at season stats just to see if there's any changes I should make. Well, starting shooting guard Dusty Stromer is averaging 4 points per game, so he's going to go on the bench behind Isaiah Harwell, and I feel like Braden Huff would be a better power forward than the one we have starting right now, because even though he's listed as a center, he is 99 3-pointer. Well, clearly those changes are working. We're on a 5-game winning streak, and if we could simply keep this up, we'd be in a good position going into the conference tournament. Our RPI is also sitting at 33, so we might get an at-large bid assuming things don't go south, but we just dropped one to San Francisco, and I'm very scared for how the rest of these weeks unfold, because I've seen good and bad throughout sim. We're dropping another one, and in this next game against Santa Clara, they beat us. I don't know how, but so many teams in our conference have a better team on paper than us, and this game against Pepperdine's for the #1 spot in the WCC. It's on the road, and I might have to start playing some regular season games, because if not, Gonzaga could continue to fall off, and it looks like they're going to take this one from us as well. We had a chance to tie it up with a 3-pointer, but we're not gonna, and I'm so upset because for a split second, things were actually looking good for Gonzaga, but now we're 18-10 going into our final game of the season, and Santa Clara is also the better team. No matter what happens in this game though, we are going to have a top 2 seed in the conference tournament, so we've started to bounce back as a team, but what is this performance versus Santa Clara? It's just disappointing and gonna land us the 2 seed, but luckily for us, Pacific would knock them out, and if we win this, we'll be back in the conference championship. I am hoping for the best. I will play that if we can get past them, but there's no reason we should have struggled so much to get there in the first place, and St. Mary's must have fallen off as well. I'm not used to seeing another school in this game, but that's how it unfolded, and ever since I made Isaiah Harwell our starting shooting guard, he led the team in points per game, and for whatever reason, half of this stadium is yellow. I don't think it was that way last season, but maybe it was, and sometimes using the mod glitches things out. The camera angle also seems to be a little bit different, so I never know what to expect out of this old NCAA basketball game, but if we feed it down low, we should have an easy 2. We have so many young guys that are out there on the court right now, but we're going to get the first block, and even though our defense has been like non-existent, I'm sure we're eventually going to figure things out, and the issue we're running into is they just haven't missed so far. We might be better off just simming if I'm not able to hit these shots, but Isaiah Harwell would drill that one, and we're going to grab the rebound as well. I'm hoping it leads to a bucket. He's going to spin, find an open 3-point shooter, and freshman point guard Pete Sands was able to drill that 3, so it's nice to know he has range like that. He can also get the steal, and in pushing it down the court, we are going to go up by 1. We're on an 8-0 run right now, and I'm hoping it doesn't end anytime soon. This is some good lockdown defense, but they picked it up, and it seemed like the high tempo was benefiting us, but that was such a good pass. With 30 seconds left in the half, we are going to turn it over instead of scoring there, and that pass should have been so much better for an easy bucket, but instead they're going to go up by 6 points, and we can respond back. That wasn't the worst first half in the world, but San Francisco has played us well, and we're both shooting 50% from the field, which won't stay forever. Let me find out this roster can actually shoot though, and we should have gotten that steal, and we didn't, but they're going through contact here, and it rolls in. I cannot believe that they just hit that shot and then forced a turnover, but we should clearly work on passing during the offseason, and come on, we got to get that rebound. That was a big one to snag there, and we're going to push it down low where they would call the foul. Small forward Jalen Hurlston cannot hit this, but maybe he'll drill the next one and it's off too. Right now we are fighting for a spot in the NCAA tournament, and San Francisco just does not want to see that happen. We're going to draw another foul, but we stink at hitting free throws, and that's actually a good release. We drill the second one as well, and they're going to jack up another 3-pointer, so we have a chance to tie things up, but we don't have to force a 3-pointer unless they're going to leave our point guard wide open. Pete Sands hits another one for us. We get the block as well, but they have picked it back up, and this one's certainly going to come down to the wire. We have 2 players on us, so surely someone's open, but it's another bad pass from us, and this has to be the best that San Francisco has played all season. When you take over a school like Gonzaga, you're going to get the best game out of every team that you face, but we might be able to just take the lead, and that steal from Pete Sands was a huge deal. He's going to have to keep playing good D though, and unfortunately that was not it, but we should be able to feed it down low, and that's a good shot. I don't know how our center didn't hit it. He was like 2 feet from the basket, but San Francisco is literally literally not missing, and Sands is going to have to make another, which he doesn't. I don't think it's meant to be our day. They're just playing too well against us. But after getting that stop, we definitely still have a chance, and we are drawing in attention to have an open three-pointer. Down by 1 with a minute left, we are going to hopefully force the steal here. And out in transition, Isaiah Harwell is going to drive in and slam it down. I did not know that kid could jump like that, but now we have a double team going on their guard who forces it up. And after getting the rebound, we're going to run off as much clock as we can before they decide to foul. Eventually, they're going to put us on the line, but we've made it very hard for them to do so. And Pete Sand hasn't missed a free throw all year. With 100% on the season, I can keep that going. And I don't know what type of undershirt he's wearing, but we're taking it off. Those were 2 very clutch free throws. But they have been automatic from 3, and they almost just turned it over there. They're going to get a decent look at it, but they have missed. We're just going to get another foul. And we have won our conference tournament. The WCC should always run through Gonzaga. So I'm glad we were able to make it happen again. And that was a great offensive performance from us. After finishing 20-11, I have no idea where the committee's going to put us, but it certainly wasn't as a 1 seed, and it's as a 12 versus Miami. We were the only team from our conference to even make it. And of course, Purdue's on our part of the bracket. I am happy that we're back in the tournament though, and I feel like this is one we could still come out on top of, but we're going to have to play extremely well. And look at the presentation on this revamped mod. It looks so much better for CBS. They've even changed the scoreboard, but I actually don't like that one as much because it's missing a little bit of nostalgia. But did they just try to throw an alley-oop against us? I feel like we're about to get off to a good start against the Hurricanes, but they swatted away, and can we just put it in? I was about to be so frustrated, and now they're going to feed it down low to miss. So we could get off to a really good start against this 5 seed, and they're playing some sort of zone, but that's got to lead to some open shooters at some point. I mean, once again, back in the corner, we're going to hit Harwell again, and it looks like they're going to try to spread it around against us, but we're all over them. It's not going to change the fact that they drilled that, but they can't keep up with us forever. And keep in mind, this team's still really young. We have many years for all of them to develop. If we could just win 1 tournament game with them, I'd be pretty happy. I'm trying to back it down low with O'Brien, but if he can switch it over here, we are going to have an open 3-point shot. And I've figured out my strategy that I want to use going forward. What we'll do is we're going to work it down low, and when they go for the double team, then we dish it back out to shoot it. And a 12 seed beating a 5 seed is such a common result that we got the perfect matchup in this one. Right now, we're doing a great job at finding the open shooters, but Miami's still a good team, so we have to be careful. And even though their shots haven't been as open, they're still hitting them. They're also forcing the steal. So I think it's back to being a 1-point game, and that's a great dunk. With 13 seconds left in the half, we're going to work it down low, and then we turned it over again, but we're going to pick this up. We might still be able to get a shot off, and what are we even doing? I don't know if they're actually going to count that, but apparently they have, and we're making almost everything that we put up. There's literally nothing that I should be complaining about, but if anything, it's our defense because Miami keeps scoring. Now, eventually, they're going to have to get out of this zone because it's not working, but their offense is playing so well. We have an ISO situation here, and we should at least draw a foul. One thing I did learn is if I don't shoot the free throw, we'll just automatically do it, but it didn't work, and that's the first free throw Pete Sands has missed all season. His 100% from the line is now gone, but he's going to pick up this steal, and that's going to lead to another bucket. Either way, he was going to get the 2 points that he deserved there, and I know this game's a little bit outdated, but I'm really liking some of the animations on it. Mark Few's not too happy about that last play, but it's all good. We're eventually going to work it around, and the Canes defense is starting to step up. There's still like 20 seconds left on the shot clock though, and that drive led to a good dish, but somehow our big man just airballed it from 2 feet away, and they're about to tie it back up if that went in. We have got to be careful. We don't have that large of a lead, but that was a really good swing, and it is going to eventually roll in, so that is huge. And if it weren't for all those 3-pointers, we would not be in this game offensively right now. That's kind of been our bread and butter though, and Huff has a 99 one, so I expected him to drill that, but he didn't, and he's going to swat it back against the Hurricanes. However, they still have the ball, and they put it up, so I'm very thankful that they didn't make that, and if we could just swing it around well, we'd be fine. Both defenses have really started to lock down here in the second half, and we're only up by 1 with 54 seconds left, so I'm hoping to find a good look. We've dished it out. Now I'm going to get it back down low to O'Brien, and he's going to make this hopefully. I probably should have just taken the 3-pointer because they'd end up drilling that bucket, and now we're down by 1 point. We have got to put this up, and come on. Now we have to foul them a bunch, and it took us forever to get them to the strike, but even if they make both of these, we're only down by 3, and we're going to grab this rebound. I'm going for the win. I want the 3-pointer. We have 6 seconds left on the clock. Sands is open. Please tell me he's going to hit this, and I can't believe that we're not going to win this tournament game. It was an open look, and I felt like I should have taken it, but looking back on it now, that probably wasn't the best move, and Purdue finally did it without choking. They have won a national championship. Even with the disappointing years, of course I got a contract extension, but if this is the caliber of prospect that we're going to get going forward, we might never win it all, and I'm just hoping that nobody's transferring out, so this is great news. Once again, during off-season recruiting, we're going to simply have no scholarships available, but I'm okay with that because all of our young players are starting to develop, and Bill Rankin's by far the worst player on this roster, so we're just going to redshirt him. Of course, according to the preseason conference predictions, all the other teams in our conference are like a C+ rating, but that's not been true in the past, so I don't believe it. And I know that Pete Sands is a lower overall than this guy, but I feel like we should still start him. As for our non-conference schedule, there's not a single ranked team that's on it, and that's kinda odd, but once again, all we're focusing on is shooting, and I'm going mainly on our starters. Now, even though they don't get many minutes for us, we do have 2 seniors on the roster, so that means we have 2 scholarships available, and finally, we have some better recruits that are interested in coming here. This season, our team rating has clearly gone up, and we have 1 unlock available, so I am able to max out our practice gym, but what's more important is our team prestige continues to rise, and now that it's back to normal, we can start to go after prospects that are actually good again. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of expecting us to win this preseason NIT tournament. We beat Indiana, and against Utah, we take a loss. That's completely fine though, because the highest ranked recruit on our board has the highest interest in our school, and I think we're gonna offer him a scholarship already. I mean, he's averaging 28 points per game in high school, so there's no reason not to just send it. And there's also this 6'10" power forward that we could use going forward, so we're gonna give him one as well. Jared Durham would sign with us, but now we have to make sure that we focus on getting the small forward still, and we should beat out Eastern Kentucky, but we are gonna put him on a visit even if it cost us a ton of points. I love how quickly you can do recruiting on the NCAA basketball games compared to the NCAA football ones, but you're also going after far less players, and it's nice to see us on a win streak until St. Louis just broke it. What is happening? Of all the non-conference schools that we're playing against, they should not be one to take us down, just like Ball State. And something went wrong with Michigan, because after they fired Juwan Howard, their overall has dropped by a ton. This isn't even a quality win for Gonzaga, but it did make small forward Stephen Ears want to come to our school, and this is the best that we've started off any season during this rebuild so far. We might actually make the tournament without having to win our conference, but it would still be nice if we did, and look at that, it's us and St. Mary's back on top. I'd like to note though that these teams clearly aren't ranked as like C+, so those preseason projections are so misleading, and we've already dropped 1 game. I don't know why the WCC is so much better in NCAA basketball than it actually is in real life, but after starting 1-4, Gonzaga might as well just quit conference play this early in the season, and we're in year 3 struggling against teams that we should be blowing out. Even Pacific has given us issues, and I think they're going to take this. So right now we are 13-10, and we are the 2nd worst team in our conference. I don't understand why this Gonzaga rebuild's had so many issues with it, but Sim has not been on our side, and maybe late in the year we can start to go on a good run because we've just picked up 4 wins in a row, and things seem to continue to go in our favor as now we're up to 6. All we have to do is also beat St. Mary's on the road, and something tells me that we were dealing with some major injuries earlier on in conference play. We ended up finishing as the 3 seed, so we're not going to get the 2-round bye, but the only players that didn't play in that many games for us was Braden Huff and Eli Conrad. When it comes to our leading scorers, they don't make that much of a difference, so I don't know what went wrong for Gonzaga, but it's clear the other teams in our conference are still highly rated, and I wish the preseason projections just gave us their accurate overalls. Then my preseason expectations wouldn't be that high, but Pepperdine gave us a battle, and we beat them by 1 to get on to the semifinals. Right now, our RPI is sitting down at 79, so if we don't win our conference, we're not going to make the NCAA tournament, and we've been on such a good run recently, but this was close too. Thankfully, we pulled away at the end, but now we have to take down Pacific, and that'll get us a bid to our 2nd straight tournament. It looks like this time around part of the arena isn't yellow, and Isaiah Harwell's been having a fantastic year, so it's nice to see the junior continue to improve, and I feel like the camera angle keeps on changing depending on what arena you end up playing in. To be honest, I think this team could make a deep run during March Madness, but we're going to have to play better defensively, and where did the ball just go? I don't know what happened to it, but Pacific got it back. They're not going to make the open 3, but they got the rebound. This has not been a great start in this game for your Zags, but I have to remember that Isaiah Harwell can shoot 3s really well, and we've got to stop giving up stupid points. It looks like they're trying to go with the full court press and trap. That did not work though. We found an open shooter, and I think that was our power forward that drilled it. He was not on the court for us during our last season, but we almost were able to force a steal here, and come on. The aggressive defense is not working, but this rolls in. And I forgot how much I loved using Pete Sands during this rebuild. We're also going to knock it down, but they're going to jack up a 3 out of it. And this is just like when we played against San Francisco in this same matchup last season, to where they're always making their shots. After forcing a steal though, we are going to make sure that we take the lead, and I'm very happy with how this team does offensively, but it's the defense that's always an issue for us, and there we go. Our junior small forward is knocking down almost everything right now. We're going to also block them, and getting it out in transition, we are going to throw it down. Pacific had no choice but to take a timeout, and I think we just went on like a 10-point run versus them, but the computer had to make sure they stay in it, so they gave them 2 free throws, and I'm not sure why they're trying to run press defense versus us. Come on, just hit this too. That's why we need to make sure we're always improving offensive shooting, and we might as well just dribble out the clock, so this is the final possession of the half. Ideally, we're going to work it down low, see if they can draw the double team, and then swing it around until we find somebody that can shoot it. And even if we miss those last 2 threes, we're playing so well, so our shooting eventually had to come back down to earth, and this is going to be a miss. If Pacific gets a quick bucket, they're not out of this one yet, but our defense is locking down, and Isaiah Harwell can not only do it on the offensive side of things, but the defensive as well. It just said we are 19-1 whenever we've led at the half this season, so it's got me feeling good about how this one's gonna go, but that almost went in, and now we've gotten it out in transition where Isaiah Harwell is gonna put it up and miss. Normally, he's one of our best shooters on this team, but at least we're able to force the steal back, and we should probably slow things down after how they went last season against Miami. Once we got a lead, they're trying to force the steal, and I can't believe they just did that to us as we are falling apart. There's a reason that we've lost the amount of games that we've lost this season, and I'm just trying to bully them down in the paint, but we did not take that one up very strongly, and I can tell that they're trying to get a three-point shot, but instead they go for the two. That was a big move from them, but it's going to be okay, because we might have one of the best small forwards in the country, and I know he hasn't committed to Gonzaga yet in real life, but I just put him on there anyway because I wanted to. Right now, Gonzaga has nobody in their 2024 class, so between him and Isaiah Harwell, I had to add somebody before starting the rebuild, and that offensive foul from them pretty much just seals the win for us. There's not too much Pacific can do unless they just started hitting three-pointer after three-pointer, but they're not even taking them, and we're about to force a steal, so I don't know what they were doing with all of that time, but it works out for us because we've won the West Coast Conference again, and we should do that every season for the rest of this rebuild. Last season, we got a 12 seed, but I feel like this one's going to be a little bit worse, so I'm just hoping we don't get disrespected too badly, and we actually got an 11 seed, so I'll take it. Unfortunately for teams like Pacific, they wouldn't make it, and on our side of the bracket, UCLA got upset by 15-seeded Penn. I feel like we're set up to make a decent run, but if we're going to do so, we have to play well against Nebraska, and we should have beaten Miami in the first round last season, so maybe this time around we'll actually take care of business. After hitting both of those free throws, they already have a 2-point lead against us, and I don't like how we've started this game out at all. They're up 5-0 early, but they did leave us open, and after stopping them on the defensive side of things, we can take the lead. Right now, 3-point shooting is how we're going to compete with teams like Nebraska, and that steal is going to lead to maybe another transition 3, but I decided not to take it. We're going to back them down low and then put it in. I wish our center was a little bit taller, but there's only so much you can do about that, and him not being able to block shots like that definitely hurts us, but maybe he can hit this spot-up jumper. That was not the best of ideas that I've ever had, and they also got that rebound. So now the Cornhuskers are up by 1 point, and we're working it down low. I wanted to try that just before I start jacking up threes again, and it is clear to me what style of offense works best for us, but what are the odds of that? I swear, Nebraska's getting so unlucky against us right now, and we are going to kick it out last second. Hopefully this can go in, because that put us up by 3, and Pete Sands just did a spin for no reason. He missed it because of that, but we should put it back up, and that is so frustrating to see. We need to at least hit one of these free throws, and this has been a solid first half of basketball. That's going to be a block, and we have the last possession. I don't know if this is going to work, but I'm going to dribble it down the court and hopefully just get a shot. Okay, this is not going well. Just put it up. Just put it up. And you know what? I'll take it. We're shooting 80% from 3, so it's no wonder that we're up the way that we're up right now, but I think we've only shot 5 of them so far, and clearly we just have to continue to throw things up against Nebraska. They're going to continue to make shots to respond back, but they're leaving us wide open, and I don't know why they're so worried about us throwing it down low if they're just going to give us looks like this. As the 11 seed right now, I'm feeling very confident, and if they're going to leave Harwell wide open for 3, we're going to take those all day. I don't know what Nebraska's strategy defensively has been during this matchup, but if we weren't shooting so well, it would probably be working, and what was I doing? I just gave them an open 3-pointer, and now we're going to turn the ball over. So this game is not over yet, and what on earth? I'm noticing that we choke in the final minutes every time against certain teams, but by putting that one in the hoop, we're standing strong, and come on, boys. We can't let them out-rebound us like that and then turn it over, but we are going to pick it up and throw it down. That was almost insanely bad, but it worked out at the end, and how did he get open? We might have them down low here, though. I saw the look, and they were all over it, so I do feel like I'm getting a lot better at this game on the hardest difficulty, at least, and I wonder how much clock they're going to let us dribble off of it before they decide to start to foul. By now, there's about 10 seconds left on the clock, so that is looking a lot better for us. They're not even able to catch Sands for a while here, and this is a 1-and-1, so it's a big deal, but we hit it. No matter what happens, now we've at least guaranteed overtime, and I can't believe I was just a bit off. All right, all we have to do is make sure they don't get an open look at a 3-pointer, and why did he have so much space? What a block! And it's Isaiah Harwell on the end of it. I'm waiting for some guy to come off the motion here. You know that they wanted to get it to this one, and they're saying that it didn't go in before the buzzer. I can't believe that we are moving on to the next round like that, but it worked out, and Nebraska fans have to be so disappointed. The games that we play in these rebuilds are so much fun, but it's about to get super difficult because I'm sure Iowa's going to give us a hard time. The good news is if we do win this, we'd play Creighton next, so we just have to have a good performance in this game against the 3 seed in our region. As for the opening tip-off, we never win these, and they're going to feed it down low where we should have blocked that. Even if we didn't get the right animation, now we're pushing pushing it down the court against them. And I'm not familiar with Iowa's game in basketball, but they don't have offense in football. So I was hoping that would be the case here as well, but it doesn't seem to be. To make matters worse, their defense is kind of locking us up right now as they force a steal. And Mark Few is not too happy with that. We've actually already turned the ball over twice in this, and I cannot complete a pass against this defense. The first time that I do, we hit the 3-point shot, and now they're driving into where they are going to miss it, but get their own rebound against us. And we had 3 guys in the area. That should have never happened there. This is going to be a tough matchup for the Zags, don't get me wrong, but I think we could still win it if we could just grab the ball. And we have got to be more careful with it. We're losing it again, but we're going to pick this up, and maybe we're going to get a 3-pointer out of it. We are forcing it. Their defense is driving me nuts already. Just like in football, it seems to be really solid, but that's why we have a 3-point shooter like Isaiah Harwell. And I'm going to continue to run our offense through him because it seems to be going a lot smoother that way. But he should not have been able to put that one in the basket the way that he did. And running out in transition, we might be able to take a lead, but they called the foul and the free throws are going to be hard. Our power forward is not the best shooter in the country, but at least he was able to hit one of them and we almost got the steal there. Even if we didn't, we're running out in transition where we can throw it down, and all of the momentum is on the side of the 11 seed right now. We have this stadium probably jumping as we get the block, and you know what? We're going out in transition again. Let's go get another bucket, which is not going to happen here. I should have probably slowed things down, but it's going to be all right because we're just going to settle for the final shot of the first half, and I've fed it down low. I want to get somebody open here. I'm going up with the pump fake, and this is going to be a foul. Probably not the best idea to do that when I can't shoot free throws, but even if I miss both of them, we're still going to have a 1-point lead, and they almost made that full court shot. Neither team shooting particularly well from the field, but the second we start stroking it, I feel like we could just run away with this game, and these turnovers are starting to drive me nuts, but at least they're not making their shots either. Now out in transition, I'm going to spot up for the open 3-pointer, but it rims out, and nothing is falling right now for either team, but we're going to get the steal/block, and Harwell has the ball where he crosses that guy up, and that was a great move. We have got to keep the ball in our hot hand at this point in the game. That's a great swat. We're out in transition. Surely we're going to be able to finish this off as well, and we do. This is what I've been expecting out of this Bulldog team, to finally play defense, but as I say that, they hit the open 3, and they've given us one as well. I don't think they realize we can play this high-tempo game. We like it like that, but of course they get the and one, and that guy averages over 20 points per game for them. What worries me is they're about to come back, and that's going to tie it. So our hot start to this half didn't matter as much as I thought it would, and I want them to double team at some point, but if they don't, we're just going to have to try to put this up ourselves. That's going to give us the lead that we were looking for again, but they're going to go back down the court and make it. And with 2 minutes left on the clock, the pressure's really on, but they've left us open in the corner, and there we go. It took forever to get that shot that we were looking for, but it ended up working out for us in the end. And the computer just seems to become automatic whenever the pressure of the game's on, but we have somebody open down low. If we could just somehow get it over to the corner now, and I hope that this goes in. He is the only reason we are still surviving in this tournament right now. But after that shot from Iowa, we almost turned it over. I know that we can't throw up a 3-pointer as quick as we want, but with the defense that they're giving us, we're going to have a lot of open looks eventually. And I've wind down the clock, found Harwell in the corner, who is going to miss. That was exactly what we wanted right there. They're going to put up a contested 3-point shot, and now we can just run out the rest of the clock because they're not able to keep up with Harwell. They still have plenty of fouls to give, so this is the end of the game. We're going to upset 3-seeded Iowa, and Gonzaga's going back to the Sweet 16. It was a hard-fought win, but our defense did play well, and Isaiah Harwell has the hot hand that he's going to get the rest of this tournament. To make matters even better, Kansas lost to 9-seeded Ohio, so if we somehow get past Creighton, we would be playing Oklahoma State in the Elite 8, and our path to the Final Four really isn't that bad. But before we try to continue this tourney run, a word from today's video sponsor, Prize Picks. There's only a few March Madness games left, but after watching Zach Edey drop 40 on Tennessee, I've got to go with him scoring more than 26 on NC State, and at the same time, I think DJ Burns will also put up good numbers because he's been going off recently just like Zach Edey, and that's going to be what I roll with as the college basketball season ends. Now, if Prize Picks is available for you to play in your state and you want some free cash to start out with on their app, code BOARD or the first link in my description will double your initial deposit up to $100. And remember, make sure that you play responsibly, but now it's time to see if we can make it to the Elite 8. I feel like we could actually pull it off, and that would be as an 11 seed, which is nuts. But we still have some tough matchups ahead of us. That is good, D, but we don't grab the ball, and are you serious? I knew that was going in the basket the second that they put that one up. But if Isaiah Harwell keeps shooting like that, it's not going to matter. And I don't want to force feed him entirely, but I'm waiting for him to get open in the corner every time. As long as he continues to shoot this well for us, we're not going to have any issues against Creighton. And our defense looks incredible so far. He just spun out that defender and then put it off of the backboard. Right now, he is playing like the best player in the country for us. And you know what? I don't even think he has to set up here. He's just going to airball the shot, and maybe he's not that good. Unfortunately, I got a little bit too confident there. And ever since that moment, we haven't been able to score a single point. It's a good thing that Creighton's offense hasn't been that solid, but they just forced another steal against us, and they're going to miss that basket, but grab the rebound to throw it down. And we just got the Blue Jays center's nuts in our face, so we need this bad. That is exactly what we want, but I don't know what we're doing defensively. And when I start to panic, players just start jumping around on the court whenever we have turned it over again. You all have not seen many of them, but they have been very prevalent. And it's because I've been trying to make these passes to the corner for threes that they're now guarding. We have Harwell open there again though, and what are we doing throwing it straight to him? I'm literally not even pointing in that direction at all. But we have started to collapse. I might need to call a timeout, and I definitely am after that. Our passes aren't even going where they're supposed to. And that's probably a feature in this game. I should have called that timeout way sooner, but of course it rimmed out. Now they're able to push it down the court again, and we're not back on D. So somehow we have collapsed throughout this entire first half, and can we please just swing it around to the other side of the court? Now they're guarding it, and my frustration is starting to build against this 7 seed. We're shooting 57% from 3, but we're about to be losing by 5 points at the half unless this goes in, and I have to say it's because our defense hasn't been good. We've turned it over 4 times, and we're lucky to still be in this game, as that was almost another steal. The passes that I can normally make are not working, so I took it down low with a bad free throw shooter, and I don't know what the plan with that was either. Right now the Blue Jays look like they're about to knock us out, but there's still plenty of time remaining, and we just have to start making some 3-point shots. I mean, they would block Harwell there, but we could still put up another, and what is happening? Every single pass that we throw, just like against Iowa, is not going the way that we need it to, and we blocked them, but it isn't going to make a difference. Maybe we shouldn't only work on shooting during the offseason, because our handling of the ball is not where it needs to be. And these guys are still kind of young. They're a bunch of sophomores and a couple juniors, so of course they're going to be making mistakes that I gotta expect. What I am learning in these situations is I can rely on our juniors, because those are the guys that have played best throughout the tournament, but we can't get them the ball on every possession. I mean, I want somebody to come open for a 3-point shot, but that's a 2, and there's just 3 minutes left in the half now, but at least they missed that 3-pointer. So we're not out of this yet. There's still a chance we could take down 7-seeded Creighton, and we had the 3 for a split second. I cannot believe Isaiah Harwell just hit that shot, but their point guard helped them respond back so quickly, and they're rotating extremely well around the 3-point line. I'm not gonna lie, boys, I think we're done, especially after they just dunked it on us. And our guy is standing out of bounds in the corner, so I couldn't even get it over to him, but now we have an open 3-point shot. So Pete Sands keeps us in it for the time being at least, and then we're gonna grab this rebound. Okay, maybe we're just fine. We need to have a 3-point shot though, and I wanted to get it over to Isaiah Harwell, but it didn't go the way that I thought it would for us, and now they're about to score. That's a great move. Being down by 6, it's not over yet, but we need to have an open 3-pointer instead of a forced one. And I'm telling you, the hands on this Creighton team are literally insane. They force so many steals against us, we knock it out, and I think that's where we're gonna lose. I'm gonna do everything that I can to get a steal, and they throw it up already. But no matter who's been on him, that point guard has not missed a shot all day. And our run in the tournament's going to end in the Sweet 16 to 7-seeded Creighton. This is not how I expected us to go out. They played so well on defense, and I don't even want to know how many times we turned it over. It looks like we had 7 to their 0, so I'm not surprised that they would win the region, beating Oklahoma State by 10, and then they lost to Purdue in the Final Four, who just won back-to-back championships. As for our players that we're signing, they ended up being the 30th and 47th best ones in the country, and transfer-wise, we are only going to lose a couple players to going pro, but none to the transfer portal. If anybody needs to stay, it's Isaiah Harwell, but I don't know if it's going to matter, because even though I just tried, we don't have enough points to convince him, and he's gone. As for replacements, the number 1 and number 2 shooting guards in the country want to come here, and we're going to try to get one of those alongside a center. For that position, we're going after the number 6 and number 8 players in the country, but 2 of those guys have already signed with Arizona and Kentucky. That means we're going all in this week. That's all we can do, and it looks like that is going to result in both of them signing for the Bulldogs. That's actually huge, as it's going to give us the number 7 recruiting class, and what's funny is none of that matters, because those 4 players are the worst 4 players on this roster. Both Tim Randall and Eli Conrad are going to slot very nicely into the starting lineup, and I'm going to redshirt a couple of guys, but just because we don't need them this season. It's really nice when players don't want to transfer out, and once again, our non-conference schedule doesn't have any ranked teams on it, but I don't care. It's our best team yet. We're supposed to win the conference by a landslide, and by now we know that's not very accurate, but who cares? I'm going to be a lot more balanced with this preseason training, and we have to find 4 players in this recruiting class. Doing decent in the tournament was all we needed to start having 5 stars that want to come to our program again, and the top 7 players in the country all want to come to our school. We're starting to build up some momentum with the Zags, and we better start the season with a win versus Montana, which we do. Next up on the schedule is Ole Miss, and what I'm starting to notice is some of these bigger schools' overalls is dropping, so maybe the farther we get into this dynasty file, the better we're going to do. I'm also almost certain that we're going to land this point guard and shooting guard immediately in recruiting, because we're number 1 on their board, and all I really have to do is offer them a scholarship. I'm also going to end up pairing it with a head coach visit, and it's a shame that we don't need any more guards because there's so many that want to come to our school, but we could really use Eric Claret, so I'm going to have to put in a lot of points to get him to come here. As for our preseason tournament, we're playing in the Old Spice Classic, so I'd be a little bit disappointed if we don't come away with a win in this, but it looks like we're going to get past VCU as well, and in the championship, we took down Butler. Now, you might think everything's going perfectly, but we only got one player to commit in Emmanuel Dorsey, so even though we're maxed out for point guard Asher Larkin, it looks like he's still indecisive, and I'm just going to continue to apply pressure, hoping for the best as we continue to stay undefeated until we lose to Hawaii. I was expecting us to drop a game at some point, but what I wasn't expecting was all 4 of these players to commit during that week where we lost a game, and that's perfect. I'm starting to get really excited to see how we do the rest of this season. We're pretty much set to go into conference play sitting at 13-1, and that is what that win seals for us. So the season seems to be going pretty well so far, and if I scroll down the polls, you're going to see us sitting at number 24. Surprisingly, we've done all that with Pete Sands being out with a broken foot, and this point guard that I don't even remember recruiting has slotted in perfectly for us. I have no idea if all of this success is going to continue during conference play, but it would be safe for me to assume that it would, and it looks like the only other team that had a really good record like us is Pacific right now. While we have an RPI ranking of 15, they have one of 78, so if they want to make it to the NCAA tournament, they're going to either have to beat us or win the conference in general. We beat St. Mary's for the second time this season, and I'm starting to wonder if we're going to lose a single conference game this year. We just picked up another big win, but even though we're like 22-1 now, the polls are not respecting us as we've not moved up at all, sitting down here at number 23. Our RPI ranking is sitting at number 8, and we are averaging 92 points per game, but even with all that success, our conference honestly isn't that good, and if we lose any of these matchups, I think it would severely affect our seeding in the NCAA tournament, so hopefully we can continue to stay undefeated and on this tear that we've been putting up for a while. Well, San Diego beating us by 2 is not good, and Pete Sands has been out like all year because he got bone spurs the second he came back from his last injury. I feel like when he returns, this team's going to perform even better, and the loss didn't drop us any, but the committee has us ranked just as high as Michigan State, who has 10 losses. One thing that has been nice is the WCC did fall off, because some of these team overalls are not as high as they were in the past, but San Francisco beats us too. So I'd expect us to drop in the polls, but we actually went up to number 22, and we no longer have any injuries. I know our other point guard has filled in well, but I can't justify having Pete Sands on the bench in this season. So we're going to see how our lineup does now, and with last season's point guard back in the starting 5, we're going to get the win. All that stands between us and the 1 seed's LMU now, and I'd be so upset if we didn't win the conference. This is the best team we've had for a while, and it was close for a second, but we went on like a 20-0 run to end that game, and this is nice. Our seed in the tournament probably won't be any higher than like 5, but you never know because our RPI is sitting at 3, and our new shooting guard Eli Conrad led the team in points per game. Our center Tim Randall's also in the running for National Player of the Year, and the only award that we didn't win in our conference actually ended up being Freshman of the Year. We didn't have a single one that would see the court, considering if we scroll down, the first one would be our 11th man, so that makes sense, but it's conference tournament time, and seeing how LMU played us to end the regular season, I knew this one wouldn't be a freebie, but I simmed it anyway, and that works. As for the championship, just like last season, it's going to be against Pacific, but we have the overall edge over them, and I trust that we can take care of business using Simcast. That might have been the wrong decision, but we are going to pull away at the end, and that's because Eli Conrad finished with 24 points. Going into the selection show, we're going to be ranked all the way down at number 21, but again, our RPI ranking is super high, so I have no idea if we're going to end up being a 1 seed or not, and it turns out we're not, but both Villanova and Kentucky are undefeated. As for our seeding, they put us as a 5, and I'm not thrilled about that, especially because Miami would be our next opponent most likely. They were the team that knocked us out of the tournament 2 years ago, but now our starting lineups develop so much more, and I hope that we can take care of business versus a 12 seed. I feel like we should be able to since we've only lost 3 games, but you never know since we are relying on some new players out there on the court, and on their first possession, the Mastodons are going to draw a foul. I don't really know what else we could have done there, and surprisingly, they've already tried to run a full court press against us, but we're just going to move it around to find some open shooters. Their defense does not intimidate me at all, and with the trap, I'm hoping they can make a mistake like that, because it should lead to us just putting it in. And I don't know why Jalen Harrelson didn't just slam it down, but it's okay because we still got the bucket. And I can tell that this 12 seed's probably going to give us a lot of issues in this game. Unfortunately, that would not fall, and then they dished it underneath to lay it up. And ever since then, both teams have struggled a bit, but they're going to draw the foul and make it. Somehow they now have a 4-point lead against us, and it all happened so quick, but their defense doesn't seem great. The real issue we're running into is we can't shoot, and they can, so right now they're on a 10-0 run, but I'm just expecting Conrad to hit. It was about time that we made it, but they keep calling fouls, and I can tell that Joe Hatcher's gonna drive me nuts. I mean, they are literally giving us the most open shots, but they've been scoring so easily, so Pete Sands is gonna have to snag that ball, and it is going to lead to a layup. That's what I like to see out of our point guard. He is known as a lockdown defender, but then again, sometimes sometimes going for the steals just does not work out. And both teams have already scored 16 points. We're not going to get the block, which means they're back up by 2, but there's no way that they were able to keep up with Pete there. And they're going to feed it down low, which we're going to swat away. They're going to pick up, and that's going to also be missed. Now, this could be the final possession of the first half, but instead we're just going to throw it up, and I regret that almost immediately. I went for taking the lead, but it didn't work out. They've played us well. I have to give them credit, but they do leave us open a lot of the time, and they're going to get it down the court to throw up a three-pointer that doesn't go in. If it wasn't for Eli Conrad, this would be ugly right now, but his 4 3-pointers have kept us in this game, so we're going to keep feeding the hot hand, and that was a good drive. I know I'm not the best at free throws, but we will take it, and this is for the lead that I'm going to drain. If I could just figure out how to play defense, I think we'd have a lot of success, but even when we block it, they still seem to come away with some points, and what a play that was from our center. He's also going to force the steal. So right now, Tim Randall's going off, and I'm kind of enjoying a center that can also dish out the pass for a 3. I need to start utilizing players like him more. There's a reason he's in the national running for player of the year, and there's another example of us not picking it up after we block it. That alone's keeping this game closer than it should be, but the double team's going to lead to a 3-point shot, and they'd end up tying it up on their next possession. So we're on upset alert versus a 12 seed, and that was almost a backcourt violation, but instead it's going to lead to Harrelson drilling it or not. Man, we need to make sure that Eli Conrad's the player at the end of these shots, because when it's not him, it has not worked out for us, and he is going to somehow get a lot of separation. He made somebody fall, and he couldn't get a bucket there. I'm hoping he will here, though, and he doesn't. Mark Few is not happy with that shot selection, and I don't blame him. There's only a minute left in this game. How are they wide open? And that is not good. They just took a 3-point lead on us. We have got to tie it back up, and we do. The pressure is really starting to build, but we have trapped them in the corner. He still puts it up, and with 2 guys on him, no fear at all. He just threw up an open 3-point shot, but we have won 2, and come on. This is not the time for Eli Conrad to be missing, but he's going to make up for it by getting the steal, and I think we just have to take the basket here. Now it's on us to get the ball again, and that's what we're going to do with Pete Sands. He has a breakaway play here, and please just finish this off for us. Back-to-back steals is something we've been trying to get all game, and our defense just clutched up, but we're going to have to do it one more time. There's only 10 seconds left on the clock. They put up a crazy shot. We grabbed the rebound, so somehow I think we're going to survive against Indiana, Purdue, Fort Wayne, and it was not looking good for a while. I don't know how we pulled this off. This team might not be as good as I thought it was, because Eli Conrad had to carry us, but I'll take it, and we'll see who we're playing next. Well, Miami put up 115 on Drake, so we've got ourselves a rematch versus the Hurricanes, and Kentucky is in our region. I'm not a big fan of that since they tend to be pretty good in this mode, and I just remembered that they're also undefeated on this file. All I know is we cannot lose to the Hurricanes in March again, and this is where we're going to try to figure things out defensively. That was a great first stop, and if we can draw double teams like this, we should have had a 3-point shot. We just got to swing it around now, and look at that. Their defense is moving very well across the court, but eventually we were able to find the open man, and they're going to call a foul on us. I'd rather them have to work for their points, though, so that's not the end of the world, and we're going to dish it down the court to just give it to our big man. I'm happy with how that turned out for us, and we've also forced Miami to lose the ball there. So now we're just going to send it down low, hit our corner point guard shooter that makes it. This is the exact start that I was hoping for in the last round, but it's still pretty early on, and I know that our center can kind of shoot 3-point shots. I know that didn't go in, but it was such an open look, and they hit Eli Conrad with a foul. It's not the end of the world, but I can tell the refs are going to be calling a pretty soft game, and Miami's point guard has really good ball control. I haven't been able to force a steal on him yet, but we should be able to get a block, and we do. That's what you expect out of a National Player of the Year finalist, and Eli Conrad is going to drill it. So when we're hitting our deep shots, we're a lethal team, but clearly Miami can as well, and did they just give us that open look? I mean, it wasn't a great shot, but we should get that more often, and I swear we keep putting Grant on the free throw line. He has 6 points off of free throws, but their defense is looking very shaky right now, and I'm not quite sure what they're trying to go with, but I cannot complain about it at all. Did we just block that with our point guard? I'm pretty sure he just blocked a 7-footer, and now he's going to throw up another 3. So if any player's leading us right now, it is Pete Sands, and they're going to put up an easy layup. We might as well just make sure that this is the final possession of the first half, and Pete Sands has not gotten that open here, which is not great. Somehow he was still able to hit that too, and this kid's on fire. If our guards can continue to play this well, we're going to have no issues. That move was insane, and we will see if I'm able to hit some of these free throws. When there's not any pressure, they're not too bad, but that's also because Pete Sands is a really good free throw shooter, and they're going to call an offensive foul on Miami. This season, we're 26-0 when we're leading at the half, so that's the key to our success in this tournament, and I hope that Pete Sands never does anything like that again. They're going to put up a layup that we swat, and we should probably start to slow things down considering that we're already up by 10 and we're losing the ball. I couldn't tell you why our center is the one dishing it around right now, but we throw up a 3-pointer, and I'm not upset about that look. It was a good one. We're also going to get the steal with Harrelson and running it in transition. transition, we're going to just slow it down. It looks like they're running a 1-3-1 on us, but I don't think that's a great defense for stopping us as I turn it over. And that's my fault for waiting too long on the shot clock. I did say I wanted our defense to step up though, and we have done so far. And that's going to have to continue as we play more tournament games. But every so often, they're still bound to hit some fluky shots, and we've just backed them down to try to lay it in. I have had success with that in the past, but this is some bad D. And we better be careful because they've gotten it within a 6-point game, but we forced the steal when we needed it the most, and that is such a big play. Our hands on defense has gotten so much better compared to some previous seasons. And you would assume that missed 3-pointer would hurt them a ton, but they forced a quick steal against us, and that's a great post move that they have somehow missed but grabbed a rebound on. Walter Carey also averages like 22 points per game, so that makes the missed layup even more surprising, but we've had an open Pete Sands and we shouldn't even put up a shot. We should wait for them to try to foul us. I don't know what they're doing. There's only so much time left on the clock and they still are not doing it. And eventually they had to, but I don't feel like shooting free throws, so I'm going to put up a 3-pointer instead where we grab the rebound and get fouled. Tim Randall shoots like 91% from the line though, so maybe I should be more confident when I shoot these, and we should still be fine. It is hard to blow a 7-point lead with this much time left, especially when they do stuff like that. So Gonzaga is headed to the Sweet 16, and I'm so proud of these guys for making it back there. We're going to have to face off against Kentucky, which will be super tough, but if Pete Sands plays like this, we'll be fine, and our region's got to be one of the toughest ones. We've never played a team as good as Kentucky in this rebuild, especially since they average 94 points per game, and right now they're sitting at 34-0. I'd hate to ruin my Wildcats' chance at going undefeated and winning it all, but Wisconsin's already done that to us before, and if they're going to do that, we're just going to hit Pete Sands. To be honest, he should be hitting stuff like that, but we force the steal, they pick it up, and then they lay it in. I don't understand how the computer does that so effortlessly, but maybe our center can shoot these, and it turns out he can't, even though he is like a 93-pointer. We knock it down, they pick up a fadeaway shot, and I probably would have lost my mind if they drained that, but they had a chance to put it in here, and then they had a second chance. The rebounding on this team is so embarrassing, also our ball management, and we're struggling to score versus this undefeated team. Now, it's a good thing that they're not having a good offensive game either so far, but if that didn't go in, I was about to be incredibly worried, and I don't know how they only have 4 points, but we are going to take the lead. Eli Conrad's filling in nicely. Pete Sands should have gotten the steal there, but he tossed it straight back to them, and their point guard on this team can't shoot, but they call the foul. To be honest, I kind of wanted to let number 10 just throw it up, and of course, the second he does that with a guy in his face, he's going to drill it, but they have left Eli Conrad open again, and you're not going to drain all your shots, but against Kentucky, if you want to pull off this win, you have got to. You know, ever since I said something about number 10, he has decided to turn things up a notch, and I'm not sure what I was thinking with that shot on that last possession. Our only points in this half have come off of Eli Conrad 3-pointers, so I feel like that's our only option, but maybe we can get an ISO going where we drive to the basket, and that's where they pickpocket us. I don't know what I was thinking there. We've gotten back with some good defense, but there's only a few seconds left now. Put a hand up, and that is fine. You know, that was a pretty weird first half for us, but I'm sure there's a lot that we can learn from it, and if we could just throw it to the corner quicker and swing it around, we might have an actual 3-pointer. I didn't know it was possible for the computer to rotate that fast, but they're going to miss this, and defensively, I'm so happy with us right now, but we keep losing it. I try to work it down low to switch things up, and it doesn't matter, so we're going to have to force the steal. Our power forward's going to dish it forward, and they got back. Man, this defense has been tough to get around. I'm not quite sure how we're going to crack it, and these are some big free throws that we can't afford to miss. I was a lot better at these against Miami when they didn't matter as much, but at least we have it back within 3, and if they started scoring quickly against us, we'd be in so much trouble. Thank goodness our defense has stepped up again though, and whenever I'm driving, they're just not double teaming. I'm so used to being able to get some open shots off of doing that, and we have done that here, but Downs is the worst 3-point shooter that's out there on the court right now, and I really wasn't expecting it to go in. They're going to put up a shot though and make it. I swear they are responding at the perfect time, and we should not be attempting this, but it wasn't the worst look in the world, and can I please just get the steal with Sands? They're going to put up a shot that of course number 10 is going to make in our face. We've almost turned it over there. Kentucky's freaking out. Dish it down low, and please put this in. I don't know what to say about our defense right now. I kind of want this big man to just throw up a 3-pointer, but he gets it to somebody else, and down by 4 with like a minute left, I'm starting to panic, so I'm just going to let Eli Conrad throw it up. That play seems to work out for us pretty well though. We could almost force the steal here. Come on, please get your hands on it. We've somehow picked it up. That's a great one, and just put this in the hoop. We have a 1-point lead on Kentucky with a minute left. That is exactly what we needed there, but I'm sure they're going to probably have an open look. Why are we triple teaming? And oh gosh, this could be bad. I'm starting to freak out on defenses. They're going to go for the layup, but we block it, and from here we should probably just dribble out as much clock as we can before throwing up a 3-pointer or something. You know, to my surprise, even though there'd be like 7 or 8 seconds left on the shot clock, they started fouling already, but I'm going to try to dribble out as much as I can or take the layup, because I don't don't trust myself to hit free throws, and please tell me they're not going to make this three. I mean, this guy literally is their big man with a 7-footer all in his face, but he had no care in the world, so we have 8 seconds to put up the game winner. I'm going to call for an isolation real quick. Conrad's going to have a look, and what are you doing? Please just call the foul on us. It doesn't go in, and we are headed to overtime. So that is not what I was hoping for, but Kentucky just played amazing, and that's the first tip I've won in this rebuild, I think. You know, we only started doing well offensively when we had to, out of panic, but they're going to force the steal on us and then throw it down. So they have all the momentum to start out, and Eli Conrad, please hit. No. Things could have definitely started better, but it's still too soon to freak out against them, and they got that rebound. Are you kidding me? Now I'm starting to worry because they're up by 4, and I just want to take this. Anytime we need to clutch up in these games, we've been doing so in March Madness so far. We're also going to force the steal with Pete Sands, but their D in transition has been good. Eli Conrad somehow gets this, and that was not where I was directing a pass, but we're going to get another steal with Pete Sands. Please tell me he's faster than number 10, and that's swatted away. It's also going to be out on us. Seeing the ref just signal that to Kentucky made me sad, and I still regret disrespecting number 10, but Pete Sands has the 3, so we are back up by 2 points against 1-seeded Kentucky, and how did he get that look against us? I swear, he is like 20 of their points right now, and are you kidding me? We have got to be a lot more careful. We are going to force the steal off of the inbounds, though, after we fouled them originally, and that is going to lead to a bucket. I'm almost certain that if I go into replay, we are going to see that we lost that ball during that, but we're still up by a point, and you know what? I want to take it anyway. We've been hitting that shot all day, so I can't even be upset about it. I am trying to steal this ball. Please just give it to me. And that's kind of the defense I've been running in this entire rebuild. That's not going to be a foul, but they still drain it, and Pete Sands had an open 3-pointer. Things have opened up offensively in this overtime period, and I'm not a big fan of that. I'm not going to lie, but what we need to do is go for the 2-for-1 here because that would be massive. To pull off this upset versus Kentucky right now, we are shooting 60% from 3-pointer, which is 22% higher than what we did during the season, and come on, give us the ball. We could have had it right there, but we just threw it away, and please hold on to it. That's another massive steal. We can dribble it down to like 8 seconds left, and they're not trying to foul. They're seeing if we can put up a good shot that they're going to block, and that's a shot clock violation against us. I probably could have done a little bit better there, but the computer fouled in that same situation earlier on in the game, and they've lost the ball, put up a 2-point shot. This is all fine. Just don't take a 3-pointer against us, and we're just going to throw it up. It is over. We have upset 1-seeded Kentucky in overtime, and now I'm starting to believe that this team could actually win a championship. I mean, both of our guards played amazing for this to happen, as they combined for 28 of our points. Now we find ourselves in the Elite 8, and Kansas is another tough team to beat, but we're getting better with each close game that we win as a team. Both us and the Jayhawks are sitting at 32-3 on the season, and I'm starting to like our starting lineup. It has a lot of height in it, which is going to be nice against the Jayhawks because they have 2 like 6-foot tall guards, and we just stole it off the start. I don't think we could have opened this game any better than that right there. They're going to put up a shot now, though, and I'm going to play very aggressive going for the steals, but I'm not sure how that's going to turn out for us, and this isn't going to be a foul. Now they're trying to penetrate to the rim again, and we can't get the block, but at least we did enough to disrupt that shot, and that's some good separation from Conrad, but he misses. He probably can't be fading away there. We almost forced a steal, but they would pick it up and put it in. So the Jayhawks are up by 2, but they've left our best shooter open, and it doesn't matter. I can't believe he just missed that shot against them, and we already know that they're going to drill both of these. I mean, we're going to work it down the court pretty quick to get an open 3-point shot that we missed, but that wasn't a terrible look, and their defense is just like Kentucky's when it comes to shutting us down. Whenever we're in these half-court sets, I'm not sure how we're going to be able to beat it, but maybe we just have to take it slow like we did there, and of course he's going to get this one off. I'm actually surprised at how many shots the Jayhawks have missed against us. They should be up by like 7 or 8, but instead we're the team with the 2-point lead, and he's out of bounds. Now my goal is for Conrad to have another open look at 3, but we're not going to take that. Instead, we're going to pass it down low, work it to the corner, and there we go. If Jalen Harrelson could just shoot, we'd be up by even more, but he would get the steal working it in transition, and after passing it around their defense, we have an open shot. I'm actually really liking what our offense has done so far against the Jayhawks, and they seem to be having a rough shooting day. Please go in. Well, I was not expecting it to go like this, but right now we're up by 7 points. We just have to continue to play it smart by getting the block, and we are going to get this too. I was a little afraid they'd put that back in, but we're going to make this the final possession of the first half, and I kind of want to see if we can feed that down low, but I am a moron. They'd then take it down the court and get 2 points, so it's back to being a 5-point one, but we got the bucket we were looking for with Randall, so we're still up by 7, and they're shooting terribly. Eventually, you'd assume that they'd start to figure things out, but that was a sick crossover, and Pete Sands has us up by 9, but he's going to give up the drive. They went with that, and please just don't make this. It wasn't the best defense in the world, but after driving it in and getting the double team, you would assume that somebody would be open for a 3-point shot, and from here we should honestly start to take things things a little bit slower because we have a double-digit lead on Kansas. Now, it wouldn't last, so that's why I'm trying to play a little bit smarter. We've now turned to put it up, and it falls. Tim Randall can actually be so dominant down low. They're not going to call the foul here, but they got the rebound, and I can't believe Kansas just got points out of that, and then we turned it over to them. This is what I'm talking about, not playing smart, but we get the steal with Conrad, and if they don't guard him in transition, I'm going to take this three-point shot. We're still being a little bit aggressive, going for some double teams, but that's going to leave players open, and they still aren't going to make this. So from this point forward, we should probably be taking all 35 seconds off of the shot clock, but then they give us a wide open three with somebody that's been hot all game. We're also going to force the steal, and Eli Conrad, don't lose the ball here. Come on. This is not the time to make mistakes like that. We've fed it down low, but it's not going to go in. And we still took 35 seconds off the shot clock, which is pretty good, but they're going to get the bucket or not. Our defense has literally been incredible in this game, and I don't know what they're doing defensively right now. Kansas has pretty much lost this one unless they start making everything, and I'm expecting them to foul instantly. But even if we're missing free throws, we should be fine, and we definitely are. We're going to be headed to the Final Four, and I'm really impressed with how we perform there. But if we're going to win it all, we still have a lot of work to do, and it looks like our next matchup is against Arizona. Pretty much every team from here on out's an A+, but that makes sense, and look how many fans are in this stadium. They did a really good job with Lucas Oil in this game, and the Wildcats starting lineup has nobody taller than 6'9". That means we have a 3-inch advantage down low, but we still don't win the tip, and I kind of want to run this one through Tim Randall just to see if it works for us. I always say that, and then we resort to jacking up three-pointers, which is what we're already doing, but there's still plenty of time to adjust things, and they missed it. I mean, he couldn't have been any closer to the basket there, and that's in a double team, but Randall was still able to lay that one in, and there's no way they were going to hit that. It doesn't help when nobody box out, but we have a three, and Tim Randall might go off. This is how you have to open up against good teams like Arizona. We've seen ourselves struggle against other schools, and I'm kind of waiting for the double team so we can dish it to a three-point shooter. 10 seconds left on the clock now. We're going to hit it to the elbow, and then eventually we find Sands. This is the perfect offense that we need in this game, but Arizona's like refusing to miss right now, which is not good news for us, and this is going to be a corner three from Eli Conrad. We are still 100% from the field, but unfortunately they did call a foul there, which means Arizona is going to make two. That's going to make it a one-possession game again, and I'm drawing the double team, but I'm not sure if this is a shot Tim Randall can make. He doesn't, but we grab the rebound and put it back up. Roddy Downs is such an underrated player on this roster, and we'll see what Arizona can do here. I tried to get the steal, but I shouldn't have. Once again, they're going to let us back them down and then find Eli Conrad with the three that he misses, but Tim Randall is a monster, and I knew that size advantage down low was going to help us out a ton. If only it could also make a difference on the defensive side of things. He should be able to put this one in, but he didn't, and Arizona is going to then find their player down low that cannot make this. With 17 seconds left in the half now, we should probably slow things down, but that pass down low is going to lead to a bucket, and now they're just going to throw up a prayer that does not go in. I think that was a really solid first half, but there's still plenty of time left in this game, and I'm not sure what they're doing defensively right now, but I feel like we're going to find a way to abuse it, and come on. They actually had some really good hands there, and just like that, it's back within 4. Time on the shot clock starting to run off, and I did not want to take that. Please just put something up. Their defense is locking us up right now, and they've now gotten it back within 2, but we do have our small forward open here, so it's a good thing Randall can get his miss. I have never seen him rebound this well in any of our games, but he's also got to play defense, and I think that was his man. Arizona has it back within a point, and we were obviously never taking that two-pointer. So good ball movement all around from our team there, and please do not hit this too. That would have been very crushing, and I don't know why I just threw that out, but that's probably exactly what Arizona was hoping for, and we have forced the steal with Jalen Harleston. Just put this in the hoop. That's going to take us back to a 6-point lead like we started this first half with, but Arizona's gotten so good at erasing it quickly, and it looks like they're trying to double, so we're going to have Harleston again. He's not going to hit that three, but we're going to block him here, and out in transition, I trust Eli Conrad to outrun every player on this court. Being able to do that is such a big deal, and we are going to get the defensive stop. So the pressure's got to be on for Arizona, and we might as well just go ISO and see what Eli Conrad can cook up versus this guy. Eventually, he's going to get it over to Pete Sands for the three-point shot, and now we're up by 9 with less than a minute left, so making the championships even more of a reality. Mark Few's going to have another opportunity to win it all, because if the Wildcats came back now, that would be an issue, and they're missing that shot. We're getting the block, so they're not even fouling. It's all over. We can dribble out the clock, and I think we can thank Tim Randall for this. He had the best game that we've seen out of him so far, and that was with 11 points and 6 rebounds. I felt like he put up even better numbers, but maybe not, and we are in trouble because Villanova just destroyed Duke. The #1 team in the country right now is sitting at 37-0, and Gonzaga's set up to lose another championship. This team's probably better than the Kentucky one that we faced, but we're just gonna have to battle it out and hope for the best. We've already done all the work it takes to get to this point, and in a look at their starting lineup, it looks like they're also a short team. If Tim Randall can do what he did in his last matchup, we should be okay, but we're also gonna have to play defense, and that's not it. You know, 42 might be 6'9" on paper, but he seems to be a lot taller and he gets the steal. So we've struggled to get it down low early on, and they grabbed the rebound to put it in. I do not like opening up a game 7-0. It's almost disrespectful that they're not guarding downs, and we've hit a lot of three-pointers to get here, so that might be our bread and butter in this matchup. Pushing it down the court, this time around they did stick out there on downs and he almost lost it for us, but because he didn't, he's going to have an opportunity to help us swing it around, find Harrelson, who doesn't make it. Tim Randall gets it and he is going to miss. This is not setting up to go as well as the last one. We didn't get the steal there either, so I'm not excited with how this is opened up, and I'm kind of letting Pete Sands go to work to just turn the ball over. I don't know how much worse things could get for us. They're about to be up by even more, and we're a fourth of the way through the national championship, already down by 8 points. I feel like we're just blowing it now, and they keep making it worse, so I could call a timeout, but I'm not gonna. I know that we have players with experience that can help us out here, so even if Tim Randall is gonna struggle, we're gonna be completely fine because Pete Sands can dish it around, and eventually Eli Conrad hits it. I've not fully leaned on him for a while. We have not had to, but we might need to in this game, especially since they've already scored 17 points, and again, I'm going to try to get it to him, but they knock it down. For facing off against a team that's 37-0, we were playing too careless, and I'm literally playing off-ball defense because I am so worried about making a mistake. They're going to dish it to him, and he drills it. This 6'9" big man that I was not worried about has actually been our worst nightmare possible, and whenever I try to go for steals, their point guard's just not turning it over. I'm not used to that. Normally we can snag at least a couple, and Tim Randall loses it again. So there's 20 seconds left in the half. We're down by 5 and now 7, but we could respond back with a 3, and we're actually out shooting them by 7%. That shows how much that they're outplaying us right now, and what are we doing? That could have been the easiest dish down low to get a bucket, but eventually we should, and they're saying it was only a 2-pointer, but I cannot complain at all. After that one rimmed out on them, they only have a 3-point lead against us. Eli Conrad is wide open, and Gonzaga is back on top in this one with another miss coming from them. You know what? I don't think there's anybody else I want to feed besides Conrad at this point. He is the reason that we are back in this game, and come on. It wasn't a great look, but he created the separation, and I don't know why they had that guy handling the ball. We are going to be able to score. They've now been scoreless for like 2 in-game minutes. Our defense is starting to clamp up, but we aren't going to get this steal, and please tell me this isn't a foul as well. It was about time that they started missing some shots, and I'm just throwing them up. So we just went on a UConn type run, and I'm pretty sure we've scored like 13 straight versus them, but clearly that upset their big man, who's been their best player. And why is Pete Sands open in the corner? If he could have just drilled that shot, we'd probably have a championship, but instead now we've been posterized twice, and I think Eli Conrad's gonna have to go to work now. I trust him to get open off of this inbounds. I don't know how good the pass is gonna be, but we're gonna put it up anyway, and Villanova might just tie it up on this possession, but we almost got the steal there with Sands, and it's a shame that we weren't able to. After going on a big run ourselves, they've scored 6 straight, so it's not looking great, and we better lock in or we're going to lose this game to the Wildcats. They're going to pass it down low, and we aren't going to swat it. So now we find ourselves trailing by 2, and did we really just take that? It was open, but it was not a great decision. Now there's 48 seconds left on the clock, and after fouling them, we have a chance to steal the inbounds, but they don't give it to us. They're going to get it over to a shooter, and we block it. Tim Randall is starting to come up big, and if they get a bucket versus us, they're going to take a 1-point lead. We've got to play some good lockdown defense. Please do not get something here that was decent, and we get the ball. I don't know when Villanova is going to foul us, but they have to at some point because we're only up by 1, and you can see them starting to chase us around a bit. So it's all going to come down to whether or not we can hit some free throws, and I've not been good at them whenever I've played this game. Our best free throw shooters are surprisingly the 2 big men that we have on the court, so somehow I eventually need to get the ball to them, but that's also risking a turnover in the process, and Downs is going to run some time off. They still don't have enough fouls, which is crazy, but eventually he is going to be sent to the line, and this is a 1-and-1. We have got to hit this. As long as I make this next free throw, we're at least guaranteeing overtime, but I don't, and we're going to have to lock down on D. I'm kind of terrified that they're just going to throw up a 3-pointer and drain it. We have seen the computer do that before, but this is kind of locking them down right now. There's 1 second left. Please don't make this. And Gonzaga has won a national championship. It's really all because of Eli Conrad. He played great, and I thought we might never see this small school cutting down the nets, but I was finally able to make it happen, and this could be my last rebuild on NCAA Basketball. Depending how many likes this video video gets, I might do like one more rebuild with the worst team in the game, but I'm very proud with how this one turned out. We had 3 players on this roster decide to go pro, and if I would have had to play another season, I feel like we would have done all right. So that concludes this video, and I will see you all in the next one.